Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to yet another workshop brought to you by Hackodisha, powered by Postman. Hackodisha is a 36-hour community-driven hackathon with a lot of fun events and workshops. So if you haven't registered yet, we'll be sharing the registration link and Discord link in the chat, so do that ASAP. Today, we are going to dive into open source with Shivansh Srivastava. Shivansh has been a GSOC mentor, GSOD mentor, has interned at Geo, Paytm, and the list of achievements keep going on and on. I would like to thank you for showing us so much interest in hosting the workshop as well as doing so much for the community. And now I know you all are eager to listen to him, so I'm not going to take any more of your time. So please take the stage.
Thank you, Sumana, for the decent introduction. Good evening, everyone. And you guys, I'm really glad to see you guys there. So today I'll be diving into the world of open source along with some fun events amidst this session. And without further delay, I'll just share my screen to just go with the session. So I'll just quickly share my screen. Yep. Okay, that's perfect. So I'll quickly start with the world of open source. So you can see a lot of logos over here. We'll be talking about them in further details in the upcoming slides. So I'll just go ahead basically about what's open source. So I have just demystified open source over here. So open source is a type of licensing agreement that allows you to freely modify a work, use the work in new ways. So basically there you can make use of the work. You can take the work for reference, modify it, use it in your projects as well. And you can completely reuse it without any copyright issues. So you have to just give the credits to the particular person of whom you are using the code, and that's particularly yours. So open source provides code implementation of the same problem statement in different languages and multiple ways as well. So when you're just going to a Python problem or a Java problem, that particular problem can be solved in multiple ways, and open source has that particular beauty of providing it in multiple ways, multiple implementations. It lets the person learn new and easier techniques like cleaner architecture, cleaner code reviews. It allows a user to write perfectly readable code. The next thing that we are going to start is getting started with open source. Most of the newbies and some of the experienced developers are really eager to learn about how to get started with open source. So the thing that we are going to dig in today is about how to get started with open source. First and foremost, you should choose a programming language of your choice. So let's say I like Python, I like Java. So I just choose that particular programming language, be it a development or be it a competitive programming language. But it should be a language which you can just make use of while contributing. So once you are done with selecting a programming language, search for the project that interests you. So after this particular slide, I'll just walk you through various websites where you can just make use of that to search for projects related to a particular language, relating to a particular tag, or anything that interests you. So clone that project, set it up in your local machine, and you're feel free to find the bugs, the improvements, or you can write up a complete proposal to improve that project, and you can send it to the project admins, the org admins, and you can completely revamp that project from scratch. So this is the beauty of open source, where we are open to take the improvements and perform it along with the community. Open source contributing doesn't mean contributing to well-known communities. So this is basically a myth, which people do not really learn it at the first stage. So this is completely a myth. You need not contribute to only the well-known communities. You can you can contribute to even projects which do not have a star. That's completely your choice. So you are free to basically make use of the projects that are there on the open source world, and you can contribute to any of the project that interests you. So you can go ahead to the GitHub, you can go ahead to the SourceForge, CodeReact, Google Code, or the Bitbucket, and look for the various code bases, various community code bases, and you can go ahead and contribute to it. So this is all about getting started with open source. But do you know how to like actually start with it? The first initial step of getting started with open source lies in learning the Git commands and their working. So once you are well versed with the Git commands, the core concepts, it will basically build your strong foundation to dive deeper into the commands, the complete contributing workflow architecture, basically. So when you are there, you learn how to make use of Git. Then you learn how to make use of GitHub or any other version management tool platform. So let's say you can make use of GitLab or Bitbucket as well for performing this. But I'll be going ahead with GitHub for the first time people or the newbies, and you can refer the documentation offered by GitHub, and that is really cool. Like you can really rely on that document and learn a lot regarding contributing to open source. Then filter the projects based on the languages or the tags or any of the things that you think is interesting. So you can go ahead with GitHub Explore, SourceForge, or Google's list of open source project, which we'll be doing it in a few minutes from now. And you can find good first issues. You can create good first issues over there. You can also create an open source project. So it's not like you're there to just contribute to open source projects. You can also initialize an open source project. So let's say it's a simple chatting application, or it's a video conferencing application. So the application like Big Blue Button, or like let's say a circuit was a Prisma, are basically an open source project that were initialized and are now used by a lot of people nowadays. So you can get contributions from around the world once your project gains traffic. So keep in mind before initializing a project to solve a purpose that will basically create traction and traffic for the project. So this is basically the core concept of starting with open source. Actually, starting with open source after learning Git, GitHub, and the architecture, we can go ahead with the various projects that are there on the world of open source. So after this, we have some fun segment where we are going to walk you through how to just look for various issues, various good first issues regarding various languages. So let's say if I choose any of the languages, let's say JavaScript. So I'll just walk you through how to just look for it in GitHub. So there is a GitHub Explore particular section offered by GitHub, which tells various projects based on your topics you've started, based on the repositories you've viewed. So it's like offering you various collections. So instead of going to the Explore, we can go to the trending, we can go to the collections, we can even go to the events. So this basically has a lot of projects within it. So you can look for projects related to the 3D modeling technique, related to the Ajax. Then there are a lot of languages and concepts over which you can find various projects. So then you have popular topics listed over here. You can search for various. You can search for various. You can search for various list of projects, and here you can find a lot of coding languages, coding concepts on which you can look for various things. So this was regarding GitHub Explore topics. So you can find it over here. Moving ahead with the firsttimersonly.com, it has a lot of things where you can look for first time contributions. You can go for upgrabs, you can go for goodfirstissues.com. So basically, good first issues are issues that are really made for the first timers, newbies to that project. So good first issues are like fixing a small bug in the project that is not to be done by the experienced ones, but to the ones who can be made familiar to the code base using that particular bug. So good first issue has that particular aim to solve. Now, goodfirstissue.dev, this basically website shows various open source projects, and you can browse by language. You can, like, let's say I need to go for JavaScript, right? So I'll just click on JavaScript. I'll get various projects and I'll just get the issues listed in there. And regarding various, let's say, yeah. So you have Next.js, the React framework. You have the Brave browser, Next.js. There are a lot of repositories. So these are various renowned repositories. You can go ahead with various other repositories which have some issues, and you find it comfortable to solve. So you can go ahead with them as well. You can also add your project. As I said, your project must solve a purpose to the society, and that will really give you an extra edge to create and generate traffic. So add your project will provide an opportunity for your project to get listed over here, and also get a traffic attraction basically from the public, and get a lot of contributions. So for making your project, regarding the contributions, you need to set it up in a way like your GitHub PR templates must be set up, your GitHub discussions must be on, your you should have a good README documentation of the project, so that any of the newcomer person should have a sense of what your project is basically solving, and what how to basically start with the contributions. And next on, we have this goodfirstissues.com, where we can filter by programming languages. So let's say I go ahead with Python. Then we have filter by issue label. So, okay. So here, for the newcomers, these are really readable issue labels. So you can look for good first ones, because see, let's say we have first timers only, or good first issues. So this provides a sense of like complete project. You will get a hang of the complete project once you are going to solve this first timers only bugs. And this will also filter by repository, so you can look for various repositories and you can filter it. So these websites give you a complete platform to just look for various good first issues present all around the uh, open source world. You can look for various renowned projects, not renowned projects, any of the projects you like and that interests you. You can look for Google Summer of Code archives projects, and there also you can look for various good first issues. You can just go to their issue portal or Jira or GitHub issues and look for good first issues, first timers only labeled, and that will provide you a sense of the complete project. You have to read the documentation first and then go ahead contributing to the open source issues or the bugs. Next, and the final thing that I'm going to go through is the code triage. So code triage is basically like a version where you can look for various open source projects really interactively, and you can select various languages, though some of the languages are not present over here, but most of them are present up here. And you can look for various projects. Let's say JavaScript, you'll find Kibana, Riot, the project Gutenberg. So these all projects really will help you to get the sense of working with JavaScript or any of the language you choose. So when you're working under a mentor or a project admin in a project and you're solving an issue, they'll help you write a cleaner code, which I'll discuss in the further like slides. So how does basically contributing to open source help you? So I'll just go step by step. So when you just contribute to an open source project by by making a pull request, so then regular reviews and feedbacks from the mentors will help you write a cleaner code. That means, let's say I just fixed a bug that was in HTML, or let's say a JavaScript code snippet. So regular code reviews from the project admins will suggest me various enhancements in that particular code snippet, in that particular short code snippet. How can I optimize it? How can I make it run better? And how can I make it look good, like look readable, much more readable? So that basically helps you write a much cleaner code with a cleaner structure. You'll learn various technologies, techniques, approach for the same piece of code that you've written by various developers all across the community, all across the world. When you just search for various issues, various things on GitHub, you will get to learn the same implementation in various different ways, all by various developers all around the world. This also initiates interactive learning and simultaneous implementation. So when you are there learning various things from GitHub or Stack Overflow or various open source things. So when you just learn, you just implement it simultaneously. That will give you a hang of what you're doing. This will really enhance your like language specific skills and the problem solving skills as well, because you will next time get to know that thing better and the particular way of solving that issue. Also, going to much more advanced version of this, you'll get to learn GitHub apps and actions. You'll get to set up, like learn to set up this CI/CD pipelines, a lot more things that will make your code base efficient, look more good, look like gain more traffic, and also will be much more enhanced in way where it separates it from the league. So basically, this will basically shine up your particular GitHub repository after you like work with various open source communities, or you try to make your project open source and also get a traffic from the community. So moving on, before moving on, I'll just like to ask Sumana if there are any questions in the live, and I would like to answer them.
Yes,
Sumana,
there
do we
are
have?
some questions. I'll go
Okay,
for them one by one. First is,
sure.
how much does open source help us on our way to GSOC?
Okay, so yeah, this was the must question that I was looking for. So okay, open source and GSOC are two different things. I would say GSOC is a program that is basically promoting open source. Uh, you need to be in open source, you need to just look for various repositories, various projects that are taking part in GSOC, and you can go ahead contribute to it to like strengthen your chances for GSOC. But you should not do this particularly for GSOC. You let's say you should do open source to basically enhance the open source world, enhance the open source projects out there present in this open source world. Like GSOC is just another program offered by Google that promotes open source. So yes, I'll suggest basically to look for various repositories present on the Google archives, GSOC archives, and you will get to know which all open source projects are taking part this year or the next year, and you can go ahead and contribute to it.
Okay. Another question is there that does contribution to open source help to grab placement in campus placements?
Okay, yes, this is really a good option. This is really a like enhanced thing. Yes. So I would say when you just maintain your GitHub profile, when you just maintain your open source profile, then it will really much help you while you go with your portfolio. So most of the college placement companies ask for this portfolio, and there you can mention your open source profile, your GitHub profile, and the green dots on your GitHub profile really matters when you are just sitting for campus placements, because most of the people look for good developers, and if you are a good developer, then you must be an open source developer as well. So yes, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Another question that while contributing, at a time, should you focus on one particular organization or try sending PRs to many organizations together?
It basically depends on you. If you are working on a project, so you can go with like multiple branches. Let's say if you're contributing to one project that is based on JavaScript and you like another project offered by Facebook that is React, you can contribute to multiple projects at a time. That's not an issue. So basically depends on the person who wants to contribute. So you can definitely contribute to multiple projects at a time.
Okay, great. So I think that's all for now. We'll take whatever is rest after the session.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead with the next segment that we have. The next segment of this session would be various open source related, various open source program that are there in this current scenario. So the first one and the most renowned one is the Google Summer of Code, and I'll be just going through it, what it has and things. So Google Summer of Code is a global program focused on bringing student developers all across the world into open source development. So as I said, open source development is promoted by Google through this program, and this basically offers the students on a 10-week programming project. So there are a lot of projects that apply for Google Summer of Code project list, and those who make it, then they offer multiple slots, and students who apply over there are selected for a 10-week programming project during their break. So let's say for India, it's around summers, the May to July period or May to August. So that works for Google Summer of Code. That period works for them, and the student participants are paired with the mentors from the participating organizations, and they bring in new projects, they propose new projects. The participating organization takes up the charge to propose new projects, or they also have an opportunity for the participants to offer an out of the box idea that can be taken as that can be taken as a project for the upcoming GSA. So you have two of the choices. Either you can propose an improvement in the project, or basically give a particular write up on how you can improvise a particular segment of their project, or you can choose from a select given list of projects offered by that particular organization. So during this, you have the more of the code is created and released for the use and benefit for the all. So let's say there are a lot of organizations, and this basically focuses on open source development, the open source technical development in terms. So this basically focuses on code development. Google Summer of Code is really a good program that you can focus on. Right now, it's ending this year, but it'll be back soon next year. The list of organizations would be there by January 2022. So keep an eye on Google Summer of Code, our website, and you'll get to know the things that are going on there. The next program is Google Season of Docs. This is another program offered by Google for improvising the documentation of various open source projects. So as much as the technical aspect is important, so is the documentation, because you'll get to learn about that project from its original documentation that is written. So to enhance the documentation, Google has offered Google Season of Docs program, where they promote open source technical writing program, and it gives an opportunity to professional technical writers an opportunity to gain experience in open source and as well as technical writing. So you get to learn, you get to work with various mentors, various technical writers for various experienced organizations. So in this particular Google Season of Docs, some of the organizations take part, not many, but yeah, some of the organization takes part in this, and they suggest uh, they list their own organization on the Google Season of Docs website. Now it depends on the student participant to suggest to improvise how they can improvise the documentation of that particular organization. So from this year, Google has provided a very very new technique of like giving the like suggestion list on the hands of the participants, where the participants get to fill in the form, and there they can suggest various works they'll be doing, and based on that form responses, the organization can select the students. So I'll be talking about how can you write an awesome application in the upcoming slides. So stay tuned until the session ends. Uh, Next, we have this MLH Fellowship program. So this is really an amazing program offered by MLH and GitHub. So this is really an renowned fellowship program that is ongoing. It has open applications around 3 times a year, so you can apply in any of the cohorts and like wait for the results to be out to experience the fellowship program before committing to a 12 full week like fellowship. You can apply for the pre-fellowship or the explorer program as well. Qualified applicants are matched to the educational projects based on the relevant programming language. So, MLH Fellowship is not all about the programming language, it's all also regarding the documentation, the UI UX designing, the tooling experience, or the CI/CD experience. Everything that is there in this open source world can be mapped in MLH Fellowship, and there are various projects that can be mapped with this complete educational thing. So it is divided into 3 tracks, and for India there are 2 tracks only right now. So for India we have the open source track and the software engineering track. Else, the production engineering track is for the non-Indian or the residents right now. Moving on, next we have the Outreachy internships. So Outreachy is a diversity initiative, and it provides remote internships to the people subject to systemic bias or impacted by underrepresentation in the technical industry that they're living. So Outreachy is basically for the biased people who are facing systemic bias, or people who are gender queer or something like that. So they work with experienced mentors from the various open source communities like Mozilla or any of the mature projects that are working around. And this also includes a set of things like UI UX design, documentation improvement, and tooling experience, graphical design, data science projects, marketing projects, everything that can be that can be included in a set. Outreachy has a really diverse set of projects that they can work on, and its goal basically is to increase diversity in open source.
I think there's some technical error.
Is this thing working? Hey Sumana, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Okay, so
you
it's live, right? Just a minute, I'll share my screen. I guess I lost the connection, but no issues. I'll just
okay.
cover back. Where was I last time?
LFX mentorship was the
Cool.
last.
So moving ahead, in the LX mentorship, I was explaining basically it's a mentorship program where you get to learn from experienced open source contributors like to get internship and job opportunities upon graduation. So LFX mentorship basically is really a project like renowned program which offers an opportunity to go ahead work with them as a full time as well. So going ahead, I'll just read out various other open source program apart from these set of renowned open source program where you can participate and learn from various opportunities. So you can go ahead with Scene of KDE, Julius Summer of Code, FSL internship, Summer of Haskell, like you can go ahead with the FOSS Asia internship, Gnome internship, community bridge mentorship. So these are the some programs that run throughout the year, and you have to keep an eye on their timeline, how they work, how they basically have the flow. You can take part in various university summer of codes program to get a hang of how to you can go ahead and contribute to various open source programs. Basically, when you start with smaller steps, you can reach greater height. So that's what the idea behind this is. When you start with various open source projects, you'll get to learn how you can contribute to them, how you can take part in various small open source programs, and then going ahead to bigger versions like GSOC or GSOT. So I have a set
Hi,
of
Shivansh.
participants.
Sorry to
Yep.
interrupt you. Your screen is not completely shared right now. Could you just try sharing it again?
Yeah,
It's
sure. Sure, just a minute. Okay. Is this now visible? Or should I
not yet.
just a
Let's
minute?
give it a second.
Is
Yeah.
this
Could you switch the
yeah,
tab and then I'll let you know?
yeah. Is this visible?
No, it's still
Uh,
not visible.
No
It's
issues, no
on
issues.
your screen.
I'll just rejoin in a second, and then you can just till then you can just have a chit chat. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So till then, feel free to just ask any question you want to. I'll take all of them at the end. You can ask related to GSOC, GSOD, anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
so I'm back with the technical glitch. So sorry for that. I'll just go ahead and share my screen there.
No issue.
So let me know if that is visible right now.
It's actually still stuck at that Google Meet screen.
Or is it?
Yeah, now it's better. Can you switch the tab?
We have switched the tab right now.
Okay, there is a slight lag, so maybe it'll happen like a few seconds.
Okay, okay. So should I just go ahead with things, or do you want?
Yeah, I think that'll be
Let's
fine.
yeah. So we basically have like this is not related with the slide. I can just speak it out with the participants basically. So I'll just quickly walk you through various participant responsibilities that I'm having, or should I just wait for the screen share?
I
Is
think
this
you can just talk till then or whatever you have in mind, and whenever the screen works fine, I'll let you know.
okay? Just a minute. I'll be just joining in a second so that the screen works, and till then you can just collect a set of questions from the participants if there are any.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. So as I was saying, you can ask anything related to open source, GSOC, GSOD, and Shivansh has also interned at Paytm and Geo. So if you have any questions regarding placements and everything, that is also fine. So feel free to ask anything. And I hope you all also understand as it's online, you can't guarantee the internet. So uh, let's just hold on for a while and we'll continue with the session. Yeah, Shivansh.
Hey everyone, so sorry for that technical glitch. Let me know, Sumana, if the screen is now visible, and I'll just go ahead with that.
Yeah,
Okay, so is the tab now visible completely?
not yet.
Okay, I guess there is some issue or this.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
loading. It'll take some time.
Amrit, is it working for you on your end, or should I just go ahead with things? Okay, no issues. I'll just
Yeah, now I
yeah,
think
I
it's
guess
a bit
that
smooth. Yeah,
okay. Is it now visible?
yeah, it's fine.
Perfectly fine. Fine, fine. Then I'll just go ahead quickly with the participant responsibilities. So sorry for the technical glitches.
No worries.
So participant responsibilities here looks for submitting high quality work, and you need to regularly communicate with the mentors, with the project admins, with the work you have completed, and basically you need to solve the blockers that you encounter. So this is the most important part, where you need to just solve the blockers that you are facing, because if you do not solve the blockers, you'll be stuck in a project, and which is not like intended during a project. And reevaluating the scope of the project if you feel you're ahead or behind the expectations of the project. So let's say there was a bit lag in the project because of some or the other personal issue. So you can just talk to the mentors. So the key here is basically talking to the mentors, talking to the project admins regarding your particular progress, so that you can just go ahead and go ahead with the project with a complete scope of the project. Then you can go ahead informing as early as possible when the work capacity will be reduced. So let's say there are exams, there are like family commitments or any of the other commitments. You can go ahead, feel free to inform it to the mentors, to the people out there in the community, and they'll really help you out. So we have a very very welcoming community in each of the open source project, like that I can vouch for. And you can find various communities really welcoming you, and they'll really help you out while you just go ahead and contribute to them. And the must thing here is listen and respond to the feedbacks. So the feedbacks that are provided by the mentors are really, really important. While you go through it, you should respond to it really firm, with a firm response. Next on, I have like people look for various things in a open source program. So what's in there for you while you join these open source programs? So you have uh, various things that are listed out here. You get to get a lot of experience working with these prestigious open source organizations. The projects that you make from scratch adds a feather to your cap, or like adds in a lot of weightage in your resume. And you also get a decent stipend depending on the purchasing power parity of the country. So it ranges from $6,000, like 3,000 to $6,000. And you also get, like, when you just complete these projects, you get a lot of recognition. You get swags from various organizations. So that's all about what you'll get from these open source programs. The final thing for this session today is how would you perform, like how will you make your particular application powerful, stand out from the crowd, and strengthen your chances towards these open source programs. So the thing that I have noticed being a mentor to these prestigious programs, Google Season of Talks, Google Summer of Code. So the thing that I have noticed is basically people write a lengthy resume, like lengthy proposals, or not to the point things. So I'm just sharing tips and tricks where you can just write things accordingly. So this is not a roadmap kind of thing, but this is like this is a thing where you can take reference from and write an awesome application for the upcoming programs. So you can write in your personal information. You can just be formal over there, keep the things to the point. And regarding the technical writing experience or the software development experience, you can write the experience that you have had with other organizations. You can add a link to your resume or CV or the portfolios that you've built, and then you can go ahead like writing the draft of the powerful application that I am suggesting right now. So these two things are mandatory and really are required, that adds an effect to your application that will tell the admins how much this person has an experience working with the particular tech stack that you're looking for. And going ahead, when you choose that particular organization and get started with the project or the improvisation that you've suggested, you can give the features, give the details that you're trying to implement or that you are proposing in a proposal, in a write-up. So it can be either a Figma UI, or it can be a module, it can be a website, or let's say something, some hosted API set, something like that. So you need to provide a demo task of what you are trying to implement, because demo tasks basically will give a sense to the project admins that this person is really interested in this particular project, and he she must be given a chance to that particular project. So giving a demo task is really necessary out here. So it can be a hosted URL or something. uh, I would not suggest going with localhost thing, because project admins cannot really look up for various local hosts, like set it up in their local machine and look for it. If you are giving that local host thing, try to maintain a good readme document for that with various assets, like the images and the UI things. And you need to mention a reason why are you proposing this new project topic. If you've discussed the project with someone in the open source community or the organization, you can go ahead and add the summary, the feedbacks from the mentors that you have received, and also you can try to improvise based on the feedbacks, so that the mentors would know that you've worked upon their feedbacks as well. Also, pay attention to the language. This is the most important part that I'm focusing on. Most of the people write the things in really an informal way, which is not supposed to be the thing. You need to be a bit formal while you are writing the proposal, and you should be like, this can be a major assessing factor based on the organizations that you're taking part. The next thing I would suggest is that as you've gone through various things that I've shown, the GitHub Explore, the first timers only, the code triage, I would suggest you can go ahead to various open source communities mentioned out there. You can go to either, let's say I'll take one or two projects that I have been part of, and you can also look for various projects out there. So you can go to Prisma, and this basically is open source ORM for PostgreSQL and MySQL. So this is based on Node.js and TypeScript. If you're interested in that, you can go ahead, go to the community, go refer to the docs, and like quickly start with this project. You can try it out. You can go ahead, contribute to this project. Other than that, you can, I have been working on circuit bus, so if you want, you can also just go ahead, like look for the website, how things work on this. And also you can find GitHub, like you can go ahead and contribute to GitHub of circuit bus. So these are the things which are like really a kick factor, where you can just get started with the things. You can go to multiple levels. Let's say if you start with the first PR, you can go ahead to a small open source program offered by an university. Then you can just go to a renowned open source program, let's say GSOC. And that's the thing, like taking small steps to reach achieve bigger things is the thing that is basically offered by open source. So this is all about the beauty of open source, and I really hope that helps you all, like the things that we have in this session, the open source program, all about open source, getting started with open source, and finally a guide to a powerful application that would be an awesome thing to finish. And I guess, Sumana, I've been talking a lot with the people. If there are any questions, do let me know.
Yes, there are actually many questions in the chat. So I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
one of them is how to write a good proposal for GSOC. So as you already covered that part, but like how do we decide what
Yeah.
a particular
Okay.
project or
Yeah.
thing we want to do it on?
Okay, so that's a much asked question. So I'll just like, as you've seen the basic template that I have shared on my particular slide deck. So you can start the thing from the template, but let's say you've chosen a project that interests you the most, or let's say you are proposing an out of the box idea to that particular project community. So then you should be knowing each and everything that you are proposing, why are you proposing that, and each and every detail. You should not cover everything. You should like dive deeper to the particular improvisation that you are proposing. You should not basically like take various things in a shallow manner. Instead, you should cover one point but in a deeper manner, so that basically affects the project admins and the mentors a lot.
Okay, all right. So the next question is how can we improve our chances to get into GSOD, Google Season of
Okay,
Top, not
so yeah, understand. Yeah, understand. So GSOD, as I said, has launched some new technique this year where you have to fill in a Google form with your proposal, with your thing. How can you just enhance their documentation? So if you have some technical documentation experience, I would suggest you should surely apply for that. If you do not have some technical writing experience, you can go through the uh, technical writing document that is offered on Google Season of Docs website, or you can reach out to me. I'll just provide it to you. So basically, that will help you to gain an insight on what basically technical writing is all about, and what all tips can help you write a better document. Also, for when you are proposing a technical writing documentation project, keep in mind to cover the various aspects for the documentation that the particular like the documentation is missing. So you need to cover the missing points and the revamp features.
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question is how to choose an organization for GSOC and how many can one person choose?
Okay. So this is fine. Yeah. So you can choose the organizations depending on the tech stack that you're working on. So you have web, you have backend, you have tooling experience things. So there are a lot of filters present on the GSOC archives where you can look for various organizations. You never know which organization is taking part or is not taking part next year. So you need to be like, you should first look on the GSOC archives for like last 4 to 5 years. Make a list of organizations that are repeating every year. Go ahead, if they are matching your tech stack, go ahead and join their IRC or Slack channels. And then finally, try to interact with mentors, the project admins, and ask whether they are going to participate next year or not. If they are not, please, like, you should not leave the particular like organization. You can stay connected, you can contribute to it later onwards as well. But if you are focusing on GSOC, then you can just go ahead with some other organization that is taking part. And you can focus on at most three organizations. You can submit the proposal for only three organizations at a time.
Okay. So, like when we start contributing, like at the beginning, do you suggest that we only choose three organizations that time also, or should we in the beginning start contributing to many of them
So
and then
okay, yeah. So this is a good question, which I think is to be answered. Yeah. So when you are connected to various organizations, see, there is this is the thing. You cannot. Uh, Google has designed it in a way where they know most of the people cannot like contribute to more than three organizations at a time. So this is the catch here. When you work on various organizations, let's say five at a time, you do not have the time, you do not have the equal time to give to each and every organization, and there the thing matters. So when you focus on one or two or at most three organizations, that's the best thing to have, where you can just get divide equal time for each organization and work on their specific projects.
All right. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, how many prior open source opportunities would you suggest to get into GSOC or GSOC? I think.
There are no prior experience need. There is no prior experience needed for going into GSOC. There are people who have gone into GSOC as a student without any prior open source experience, because they have been indulged in that open source project much, so they go into that. So I would suggest you should just go ahead contributing to that particular project that you are aiming for, and that would be enough. If you have some experience, that adds a cherry on the cake, but it's not much needed.
Okay. Okay. Another question is how to connect or find the project admins or mentors.
Okay,
Like how
so
can we talk?
when you just join the IRC channel or the Slack channel for that particular organization, there are roles assigned to each and every person in most of the organizations that I have been a part of. So there you get to know people who are mentors, people who are a part of core team, people who are the project admins or the project reps. So there you get to know. There are a lot of people who get tagged in various threads. So then and there you get to know that this person is the most active or the most important person in the community who is being asked for various reviews. So then and there you get to know who is the project admin or the mentor.
Right. Okay. Okay. Ankush is asking, what is the best time to start contributing for GSOC 2022?
Okay, so I would suggest you can start right now, because you can have a look. See, GSOC is ending this year, and there are a lot of open ends with the projects that are to be solved upon by the various open source projects. So I would suggest go ahead, look for various projects in the GSOC archives, and go ahead, join their community, start contributing to the current GSOC projects. And if you are well versed with that project by the end of this year, then you have much more chances, you will be getting noticed in the community if you are an active contributor, and then you have much more chances to go and propose your idea and getting selected as a GSOC student. So the best time would be going ahead now, but generally open source, for contributing to open source, there is no best time. You can start today, right now after this event.
Absolutely. Okay. So, next is, how would you suggest someone to start contributing to the code base of a big organization? Because it can be intimidating, right, for a
Yeah,
beginner.
that's really true. A big code base is really really hectic to learn, and various things you need to refer. So first of all, set it up on your local machine, and then select one of the module of that particular project. So when you just learn that particular module, you will get to know various things connected to it. You just segment, de-segment that project, uh, divide it into segments, learn various segments and their connection with the other segments. Then when you just refer to the other segments of that project, you'll get to know about the complete project in a flow. Also, make sure to refer to their particular documentation, because that's the best thing they have provided.
Okay. Okay. So, as you said that you have been a mentor in Circuitverse, so what
Yeah.
kind of technologies does it focus on, and how do we start contributing to it?
Okay, so Circuitverse basically makes use of Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, and basic HTML. It mainly focuses on JavaScript because the simulator that we have is built on that. We are currently focusing on the touch compatibility of the simulator that is being done by one of our GSOC students. So you need to be well versed with Ruby on Rails. Not well versed because many people who come to our organization in our community are not well versed with Ruby on Rails. But once you start working on it, you'll get a hang of it. So once you're done with once you're learning that Ruby on Rails and you try to implement it over here in Circuitverse in the good first issues, you'll get to learn a lot of things here. So be it Circuitverse or any other community, if you do not know the tech stack, you can still start contributing to it after learning the tech stack or initializing the tech stack. Let's say anyone who does not know JavaScript can start learning it and also simultaneously look for various good first issues in the organizations that relates to JavaScript. So when you learn and simultaneously implement, that basically gives you much more power to learn and implement it in future.
All right. So yeah, the
Yeah.
next question was that only, that do we have to be proficient in all the skills mentioned? So yeah, I think that answers the question. So there's
Yes.
another question I had, that like when we go to the GSOC website and look at organizations, and they have on their GitHub, they have a lot of projects going on. So how do we understand which is the project that will come for GSOC?
Okay, so this is basically let's say if the GitHub organization has a lot of projects, then you'll have to communicate with the mentors and try to they'll really not reveal which all the projects they are going to list out in the GSOC website. It's only after the official announcement by Google whenever the projects are getting listed. But you'll get to get a hint from them, or they'll announce it sometime later in the community which all projects are there. So basically, the projects that are receiving a lot of traffic that time at that particular point of time, let's say at the end of December or around November, the projects that are receiving a lot of traffic and are receiving a lot of improvisations are most likely to get listed in the particular thing. And the project, not really the projects, but a not a small feature, let's say a large feature or a large improvisation is to be listed for that regarding project. So I would suggest the projects that are receiving a lot of traffic are the ones you should look for.
All right, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are any more questions, you guys please feel free to write it over here. Let's just wait for a while.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Yeah. So
Okay, so do you have any tips for someone who'll just start contributing for GSOC or GSOT?
So, if you want, you can feel free to reach out to me on the mentioned links in the slide deck. Otherwise, I would suggest you can start contributing to open source right now at the moment if you haven't started, or if you have started, go ahead, look for various opportunities out there in the open source world and try to interact. The key here is to interact with the mentors, to interact with the project admins, and that will really help you out to strengthen your chances to getting into various open source programs.
All right. Okay, there's one question. Any tips you would like to give for getting an internship?
Uh, for getting an internship, basically depends on which field you're applying for. If there is that is for particularly for software development, you should be well versed in data structures and algorithms along with development. So it's not like they'll ask relating to the TSA. Now mostly the companies go ask for the development stuff in the technical rounds. So it's better if you start with open source, because that basically gives you a sense of how to improvise in that particular language, in that particular problem solving skills that will really help you overcome these issues.
Okay. So I have seen a lot of confusion regarding this question, that Like when you're looking for organizations, there are some organizations which take like 10 people for GSOC, and while there are some which take only two or three. So which is
Yeah.
better to contribute to? Because in the 10 people one, there
It's not basically it's not basically depending on that. You should contribute to an organization that interests you. It's not like they're taking 10 people, so you'll not contribute because that will really decrease the quality. The quality is maintained because they are getting selected by a regular process offered by Google. So the quality is maintained. The thing is that the particular organization is getting offered multiple slots they apply for. So let's say the organization has applied for 10 of the slots. So they get 10 of the slots, and the quality is maintained because they are picking people based on their proposals for that particular project. So a bigger organization has a lot projects and they will apply for multiple slots, while a smaller organizations will apply for like as mentioned. So that's the key here.
and like
Okay, no issues, no issues. So the thing was, I was saying, if you have that particular, let's say, project is based on Python, and you don't have Python skills, else you have Java skills, and you're going to apply for that particular organization with Python projects. So without having a knowledge in Python, you can't really apply for that project because when you go for screening rounds, let's say there are some internal screening rounds uh, offered by various other organizations. So if you go for internal screening rounds, then you will surely be out of the process because you do not have the particular tech stack mentioned by the organizations. So you need to have a bit of the tech stack and experience in that tech stack so that whenever there is some issue, you can really solve it or you can think of that process.
so
Yeah.
these internal screening rounds, these are like interviews which happen after the proposal.
No, like this is not really a part of the process by Google. This is offered by some of the organizations that look for, let's say there are two competitive candidates and they want to select one of them. So it's like that. So we actually learn what basically their aim is, their vision is, and how they are going to implement that project. So that's a bit of that particular thing we want to know. So for that, this is the internal screening, and this is like this rarely happens with many of the organizations. So you not need not to worry about that. You should focus on basically the process offered by Google. So you should basically perform outstanding on your powerful application, because that is the thing the mentor will look for when they are reviewing your application.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't think there are any more questions left. So I think we can wind up here. Uh, so before leaving, I'll just thank you for coming and giving such an amazing workshop. It was very informative. And for all the viewers still staying till the end, thank you so much. So we'll
Thank you
see
so
you all.
much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. We'll see you all again next time with another workshop.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.